Hello, it's me again. Thanks for coming back to my channel. Have you ever heard of a battle so ancient, so epic, that it literally shaped the course of empires for millennia? A clash of titans that became the blueprint for military strategy, studied by generals from Napoleon to Norman Schwarzkopf. Today, we're journeying back in time, over 3,400 years ago, to uncover the story of the first battle in history recorded in reliable detail, the legendary Battle of Megiddo. This isn't just a dusty story from a history book. This is a tale of ambition, rebellion, and a high-stakes gamble by one of ancient Egypt's greatest pharaohs. Our story begins around 1457 BC. The mighty Egyptian Empire, a superpower of the ancient world, is facing a serious threat. The previous pharaoh Hatshepsut had focused on trade and prosperity, a peaceful reign that allowed Egypt's influence to wane in the Near East. Sensing weakness, a coalition of Canaanite kings, led by the powerful king of Kadesh, decided to make their move. They gathered their forces at a strategic city, a fortress that controlled the vital trade routes connecting Egypt and Mesopotamia. That city was Megiddo, for the newly crowned pharaoh, a young, untested warrior king named Thutmose III. This was more than just a rebellion. It was a direct challenge to his authority and the stability of his entire empire. Losing control of Megiddo meant losing control of the trade routes, the flow of wealth, and the respect of his vassals. Thutmose knew he had to act, and act decisively. He couldn't just send a message. He had to lead the charge himself. So, gathering one of the largest Egyptian armies ever assembled, estimated to be between 10 and 20,000 men, Thutmose III marched out of his capital. His destination, Megiddo, his goal, to crush the rebellion and reassert Egyptian dominance once and for all. The journey itself was a massive logistical undertaking, a march of hundreds of miles across the harsh Sinai desert. But the real test, the decision that would define his legacy, was yet to come. As the Egyptian army approached the Carmel Ridge, a mountain range that stood between them and Megiddo, Thutmose III faced a critical choice. His generals presented him with three possible routes. Two were long, safe, and wide, circling around the mountains to the north and south. They were the obvious choices, the paths the enemy would expect. But there was a third option, a narrow, dangerous pass that cut directly through the mountains. A path so tight, the scouts reported, the army would have to march single file, horse after horse and man after man. His generals begged him not to take it. "What is it like to go on this road, which becomes so narrow?" they pleaded. "Our foes are waiting there. Will not horse have to go after horse, and the army and the people likewise? Will the vanguard of us be fighting, while the rear guard is still standing here in Aruna, unable to fight?" They were right to be afraid. An ambush in that narrow pass would be a catastrophe. The Egyptian army could be trapped and annihilated. But Thutmose III was no ordinary leader. He was a gambler, a brilliant strategist who understood the psychology of his enemy. He reasoned that if his own generals thought the pass was too dangerous, then the enemy would surely think the same. They would be guarding the two easier routes, leaving the direct path, the Aruna Pass, completely undefended. In a bold display of leadership, he declared, "My Majesty shall proceed upon this Aruna road. Let him who will among you go upon those roads you have mentioned. Let him who will among you come in the following of my Majesty." He would lead from the very front. His gamble was audacious. He personally led his army into the treacherous pass. Imagine the tension the soldiers squeezed between rocky cliffs, unsure if an enemy army was waiting around the next bend. For hours, they marched in a long, vulnerable line, their chariots disassembled and carried by hand. It was a nerve-wracking journey, but just as Thutmose had predicted, the pass was unguarded. The rebel coalition had completely discounted it as a viable route of attack. When the Egyptian vanguard emerged from the pass, they looked down upon the plains of Megiddo to an astonishing sight. The main forces of the Canaanite coalition were positioned far to the north and south, guarding the exits of the easy roads. The Egyptians had bypassed them completely and were now setting up camp right under their noses. Between them and the city of Megiddo itself, the surprise was absolute. The rebel leaders were thrown into a panic. The next morning, Thutmose arranged his army for battle. He took personal command of the center, arraying his forces in a concave formation, like a crescent moon, designed to envelop the enemy. He appeared before his troops in a chariot of fine gold, adorned with his accoutrements of combat. Like Horus, the Lord of Might, like Montu of Thebes, his father Ammon strengthening his arms. The sight of the Pharaoh, golden and godlike, leading the charge must have been an incredible inspiration for his soldiers. The battle began. The Egyptian line surged forward. The Canaanite forces, caught off guard and poorly positioned, were quickly overwhelmed. The Egyptian flanks curved inward, enveloping and crushing the rebel army. The result was not a battle, but a rout. The terrified Canaanite soldiers fled in disarray, abandoning their valuable chariots of gold and silver on the battlefield. They scrambled for the safety of Megiddo's walls, with their comrades inside famously hauling them up the ramparts using tied-together clothing. And here, Thutmose faced his only setback of the campaign. His soldiers, instead of pursuing the routed enemy and capturing the city in one swift stroke, broke formation. They were mesmerized by the loot scattered across the battlefield, the golden chariots, the fine armor, the weapons. They stopped to plunder, giving the surviving rebels, including the king of Kadesh, enough time to escape inside the fortified city of Megiddo. Thutmose was furious, but he was also pragmatic. He lamented, "If only my troops had not given their hearts to plundering the possessions of the enemy, they would have captured Megiddo at this moment." But the opportunity was lost. Instead of a quick victory, the Egyptians were now faced with a long siege. But even in this, Thutmose was meticulous. He ordered his army to build a wall completely around the city, cutting off all escape and all supplies. He named this siege wall Menkaper Istasurrounder of Lasiatics, Menkaper being his own royal name. For 7 long months, the Egyptians waited. Inside the walls, starvation and desperation grew. Finally, with no hope of rescue, the defeated Canaanite princes emerged. They crawled on their bellies to prostrate themselves before the Pharaoh, begging for their lives. Thutmose III was victorious. The spoils of war were immense, as recorded in detail by his scribes: thousands of horses, hundreds of golden and silver chariots, countless weapons, vast herds of livestock, and an enormous amount of grain. More importantly, he re-established oaths of loyalty from the defeated princes and took their sons back to Egypt as hostages, ensuring their future obedience. He had not only crushed the rebellion, but had fundamentally restructured the power dynamic in the region. The Battle of Megiddo was a masterpiece of military genius. Thutmose III's daring march through the Aruna Pass is still studied today as a classic example of surprise and misdirection. His victory solidified his reputation as one of history's greatest military commanders, earning him the nickname the Napoleon of Egypt. Over his long reign, he would conduct at least 16 more campaigns, never losing a battle and expanding the Egyptian empire to its greatest extent. The legacy of Megiddo echoes through history in another fascinating way. The city's name, Har-Megiddo in Hebrew, meaning Mount of Megiddo, is believed by many scholars to be the origin of the word Armageddon, the site of the final apocalyptic battle described in the Book of Revelation. This ancient battlefield became a symbol for the ultimate confrontation. So, the next time you hear the word Armageddon, remember its origin: a real place, the site of a real battle fought over 3,400 years ago. A battle won by a brilliant pharaoh who wasn't afraid to take a risk, to lead from the front, and to march his army down a path no one else dared to take. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next historical adventure. Let me know in the comments what other epic battles you'd like to see covered. See you next time.